some rough odds as of June 20th, 2020. The odds of contracting COVID-19 are 1 in 757. Not all the figures are in, so we don't know exactly how accurate that one is. The odds of being the victim and losing your life as a result of an assault, 1 in 211. The odds, shockingly, are 1 in 40 of being born with, having a child born with autism. That's based on a 2016 national survey that was released by one of the leading authorities of ASD, or Autism Spectrum Disorder, spectrumnews.org's website. Just as the Florida tag alludes, this is a puzzle that we need to work out. As defined by Google.com's dictionary, ASD is a developmental disorder of variable severity that is characterized by difficulty in social interaction and communication, and by restricted or repetitive patterns of thought and behavior. There's no clear-cut scientific link in the form of cause and effect of autism. It could be that there are numerous contributing factors for such a debilitating disorder. In the modern corporate climate, it's entirely possible that we're causing it ourselves due to corporate greed. In the October 11, 2016 article on children'shealthdefense.org's website, titled, "Is the Autism Epidemic Real?" Dr. Brian Hooker, a Simpson University epidemiologist, is quoted as saying, "You will never ever hear the CDC characterizing the ASD explosion as a crisis or epidemic. So long as there is no epidemic, no one needs to look for the environmental trigger." End quote. About 10 years ago, my grandfather, a prominent doctor and scientist in New England, happened to mention on a trip we were taking one day that he believed he found a possible link between a common chemical that we all ingest on a regular basis and autism. He told everyone that he could about what he believed his theory was, and to the best of our knowledge, anyone who's heeded his warning has never had a child that was discovered to be born with autism. Autism, or the genes leading to it, could be caused by expectant mothers ingesting citric acid. Citric acid is found in citrus fruit, but there is a different form of citric acid, an industrial manufactured chemical used as a preservative in food, also used in nutritional supplements. It's also used as a cleaning agent. In the spectrumnews.org article titled, "Small Study Bolsters Difficult Search for Autism Blood Test," from January 13th, 2015, by Nicolette Zilat, the writer points out in a recent study, the researchers identified 179 small molecules called metabolites, which have altered in the children with ASD. The three most common being citric acid, succinic acid, and creatinine, which have all been linked to ASD. Citric acid is the most common element that has ever been linked to autism that we ingest. In 1917, an American food chemist named James Curry discovered that there were certain strains of a mold that could be an efficient catalyst to creating citric acid in a laboratory. 2 years later, Pfizer, the big drug corporation, began manufacturing the lucrative chemical, followed by a European company known as Citric Belge in 1929. In the Wikipedia.com article about autism, it states that Leo Canard, of Johns Hopkins Hospital first used autism in its modern English sense in a 1943 report that labeled 11 children with striking behavioral similarities as early infantile autism cases. Is it merely a coincidence that industrial grade citric acid began production between 1917 and 1929? Then a few short years later, autism was finally labeled. If you or someone you know is expecting, look for anything to eat and drink that does not have citric acid on the label. For whatever reason, the FDA refuses to force manufacturers to make the distinction between natural and manufactured citric acid. There are many, many alternatives to the common foods that we eat that contain citric acid so that we don't have to ingest it. Simply waiting 9 months and finding alternative foods for 9 months can't be too much to ask.